This is the story of Xavier Gualupe Hernandez, a man on the edge of a Texas highway who begged for help and ended up pinned, tased, and unresponsive. What should have been a medical crisis handled with calm care turned into a life or death confrontation? Stick with me, you won't believe how quickly things spiraled. If this shocks you, hit like and share, people need to see this. It starts with someone in distress. Imagine a hot Texas morning on I-10 East. Traffic's humming, people are late. And then someone is standing on the highway barrier, trembling, shouting, scared. This is Xavier. He's not armed. He's not attacking anyone, he's crying for help. Call 911, please. He says it over and over. Short, repetitive, panicked. What's your badge number? He asks again and again, like he needs to know who's in front of him. Maybe he's trying to anchor himself. Maybe he's trying to understand who he can trust. But the officers don't treat it like a medical emergency. They treat it like a threat. They shout commands. They yell, sit down. Get down. The tone is aggressive. It ramps up. A taser is drawn. A struggle begins, short, sharp, chaotic. You won't believe what happens next. Instead of stepping back, giving space, calling a crisis team, the officers close in. They force him onto the asphalt, hands behind his back. Bodies on top of him, voices barking, lie down, lie down. The video shows cops kneeling, pressing down, leaning into his back and shoulders in the heat, on the hard ground. Xavier keeps saying the same thing. What's your badge number? He asks for help. He pleads. He keeps telling them to call 911, but the response is force. Threats are thrown at him, not words of reassurance, threats. The language is ugly, unnecessary. It builds fear. It removes trust. But wait, it gets worse. At some point he cries out, "Get him off my chest." He says it several times. The phrasing is chillingly familiar. It echoes other tragic cases where people pinned under weight said they couldn't breathe. This isn't a coincidence. Positional asphyxia is a known medical risk when someone is held face down with weight on their back, especially if their arms are restrained behind them. And that's exactly what's happening to Xavier. He's being held down, he's been tased, he's been shot. He's been restrained, he's pleading, and the officers keep him pinned. If you think first responders should get more crisis training, comment below, tell your story. What trained officers should do and what they didn't do. When someone is clearly in mental distress, de-escalate, create space, use calm voices. Call for medical backup and crisis intervention specialists. Monitor breathing. Those are basic responses taught by many departments. They're intended to save lives. But here, the video shows exactly the opposite. The officers focus on control, not care. They talk casually even as Xavier grows silent. They discuss shackles, scratches, whether he bit someone. They debate logistics. And for minutes, they do not acknowledge that he's struggling to breathe. You won't believe the moment of realization. It takes several minutes, and then someone says it out loud. "You're not breathing, man." That line marks the switch from subduing a suspect to someone needs life-saving help. By then, Xavier is limp, unresponsive. The officers finally check him. Fire medical services arrive and begin CPR, but for too long he had been held prone, his chest compressed, oxygen cut off. Think about how long is too long. How much time do you think they had? The human side, Xavier's last moments. Imagine being terrified, asking for help, and getting threats instead. Imagine the heat on the pavement. Imagine being tased and then pressed down while your chest can't rise. Imagine trying to speak and not being heard. That's what the footage captures, a man losing autonomy and dignity in front of people who could have helped. His pleas, "Get him off my chest," are swallowed by the clamor of command. His last requests, a tiny, quiet ask for water, go unnoticed. That's the part that hits hardest. Not the drama of the struggle, but the small, human things: thirst, fear, confusion. The video strips away official language and leaves raw suffering. Question for you: would you want police trained to respond differently in this exact situation? Tell me in the comments. Afterward, the department released a statement. Xavier resisted. Officers used a taser. Medical services were requested. He was held until EMS arrived. He became unresponsive and then EMS tried to revive him. That's the official frame, short, factual sounding. But the public footage tells another story. Families and witnesses saw a man in crisis, not a violent felon. The tone of the encounter looked like punishment, not care. That's why relatives are asking for a federal investigation. That's why lawyers are talking about a possible multi-million-dollar lawsuit. This is bigger than one man's death. It's about trust, policy, training, accountability. But wait, here's the scary truth. This wasn't an isolated set of mistakes. The sequence: aggressive commands, taser deployment, prone restraint, failure to monitor for medical distress, is a pattern that medical experts and civil rights advocates have warned about for years. Departments that fail to change practices risk repeating the same tragedies. If this moved you, share it. Demand better training for those who protect your community. What's your take on how this ended? Do you think the officers acted appropriately, or should policy change to prevent this kind of outcome? If you know a true story like this, share it with me. I might cover it next. And if you want to keep this conversation alive, comment below. What would you do if you saw a person in crisis on a highway?